Today we're going to be taking a look at the MaxxTow Off Road LED light bar, offering both the flood and spot beams at 54.5 inches long and rated at 300 watts. Part number is MT80636. Here's what our light looks like installed. As you can see, this is going to be a really nice addition to any Jeep or any vehicle for that matter. It gives it a really nice off-road look. Now you'll kind of notice two different styles of lights inside of here. From this area here over to the same spot on the other side, they're going to have really smooth reflectors. That's where we get our spot beam. So the entire middle of the light bar there, that's going to shoot straight down the road a really long way, giving us an excellent range of view. And then if we look here on the side, we can see these that have more of a dimpled or a textured finish. Those are creating our floodlights, or the flood beam. So these are going to give us excellent width of vision. So the spotlight takes care of the farther away stuff, and the floodlights here on each outside section are going to take care of that closer stuff more out to the side of the vehicle. You can see we've got 2 rows of LEDs that are going to go across. There's 50 in each row, so it gives us a total of 100 LEDs. Each of the LEDs drawing 3 watts for a total of 300 watts. Now the mirrored face itself from outside edge to outside edge is going to be 50 inches. Up and down, it's going to be right at 2 inches. The outside of the light housing is going to be 3¼ inches. That's going to be by about 51¼ inches. Now to the total outside, to the other outside edge of our bracket, we've got about 54¼ to 54½. Now the light's designed with aluminum construction, so not only is it going to be really resistant to any of the corrosion or anything like that, but it helps to dissipate any heat that these LEDs might build up. If you take a look at the back side, you'll see the cooling fins that come off of the back. Again, these are all aluminum, so they're really going to dissipate that heat energy away, giving us a lighting system that's going to work very well for a very long time to come. The light's going to feature a durable polycarbonate lens, so even in those off-road applications, we have a few things bouncing up against it. It's not going to cause a lot of scratching. It's going to stay durable and scratch resistant, so it'll look nice for a long time. Now the light itself has a total lumen output of 22,000, which is very significant. This is going to be one of those lights that's really going to help light up what's in front of us. All right, now let's take a look at the difference that we can expect with the light. Here we've got our standard high beams. And here's our MaxxTow light. As you can see, it's a very intense, very bright light that almost makes our high beams disappear on the wall there. Here you'll see the mounting brackets for the lights. These are nice, easy to use. It's going to come with the hardware that you need for most applications. A lot of times you'll get into a little bit of a custom application with these things, so you might have to provide your own hardware. But they've got teeth both on the outside of the light and on the bracket. So by tightening up this bolt, we're going to keep it locked in position nice and secure. If we need to change that angle, we'll simply loosen up the bolt on each side. We'll be able to rotate this up or down depending on our needs. Also, to keep any vibration from transferring up through the vehicle and into our light, we've got rubber isolators that are going to sit underneath each one of those foot packs or those mounting arms to allow for that isolation, to keep that light separate from the main frame and body of the vehicle. Now the nice thing about the MaxxTow off-road light is that it comes with its own relay harness. You're not going to have to purchase one of these separately. And essentially what our relay is going to do is keep our light working longer. Typically with these lights, especially this one, it draws 300 watts. If we were pulling all of that power through our switch is eventually going to wear out unless we use a very heavy duty one. So what we can use is just a little bit of power through our switch to turn our relay on. When our relay's on, it closes, and that allows the power to pass through and go to our light. When we turn the switch off, that little switch inside is going to open up, and that's going to prevent the power from circulating. So what we're able to do is connect our relay directly to our battery, and then that'll send the power out to our light when we want it. That's going to eliminate the possibility of burning out switches. Now what we're going to do before we mount the light bar itself up on the Jeep is make the wiring connection that's going to run to our relay for the light. We can bring it right through the bottom slot in the light bar. We're going to make our connection here using a couple of heat shrink butt connectors. It'll be part number DW05. 744. That's going to take the place of those Spade connectors that slid on there previously. That's going to give us enough wiring to be able to run inside the vehicle, and also by using the heat shrink butt connectors we'll have superior moisture resistance. We won't have to worry about moisture getting in there causing corrosion down the road. Now we can just use a heat gun, mini torch, or a lighter, and we'll get those shrank down. Alright, now we'll pull out that slack and see that's going to be nicely hidden, tucked away where we won't have to worry about it. We ran our wires down our mount. This is a car mount. It works very good in this particular application. It's got little keepers for the wire that are hold it in place as it goes down. Then what I'm going to do is run it right around this edge. I'm going to go right under this piece of rubber here, and then I'm going to tuck it up against the dash. Now, we're not going to be able to fit the entire relay plug through that gap, so I'm going to cut this wire, and we can also eliminate a little bit of that length in the process since we don't need it all. We do want to give ourselves enough room so that we can get a butt connector back on our relay there. We'll just trim it like that. And we're going to run it right down where this air line is. You can kind of see, if you look right here between the speaker and that trim panel, you see where it's running down through there? There's plenty of room back there for it. We won't have to worry about it rubbing up against anything it shouldn't. So I'm going to use this to pull down through. You could also use a stiff piece of wire like a coat hanger, kind of poke it down in there. Now we'll just use our airline here, or in your case coat hanger. You probably don't have airline sitting around. And pull that down through. Alright. Now we'll have that weather stripping that'll go up against it there. And then that little piece of trim there that'll also give it some protection. So we should be in good shape. Sometimes there's a little push fastener that's holding that down. You can just pop that out if you want to. This one was already gone. I'm just going to pop these screws in there. You don't necessarily need to remove that panel. We just took it off to give you an idea of where that was routed. Bitches. Now you'll see from our relay to the point they want us to connect to the battery, that's a pretty short run. And again, we want to keep as much of this up underneath the dash hidden, especially since this Jeep's going to be an off-road Jeep. You know, there's going to be a lot of mud and stuff thrown up. So we're going to trim this as well. We're going to add in a couple 5-feet pieces of wire. We want to use 12 gauge wire to keep everything consistent. So we'll just snip these two leads off. We'll be using those out underneath the hood to make our connection. Now we need to pass the wires from the hood area into the driver area, and we can do that right here underneath the hood in a conveniently located grommet. So I've taken my two 12 gauge lengths of wire, just taped them together at the end. Now right here on the driver's side, you'll see the main wiring harness is going to run through there, but above it we've got an opening. Now you will want to look inside of your vehicle and see where the wires run once they come out of there. And wherever you find a safe area, we'll just poke a small hole in it there, and we'll slide through our wires. Poke as much through there as we can, and we can go inside and find it. You see they're going to come out. If it's a manual, they're going to be just to the left side of the clutch, right up here against the firewall. If it's an automatic, you'll have a little bit larger pedal. It's still going to be kind of in that same area, just right up in there. Now that we've got those untaped, let's go ahead and get those stripped back. We're going to add on two of part number DW05745. There's going to be a heat shrink butt connector, just in case. I know we're on the inside of the car, but again, this is going to be a four-wheeling Jeep, and on occasion we do fill the inside up. So we'll put those on there. Then we're going to connect those back to the red and black wire that has the jacket on it. That's the one the 12-volt power came from. If you get them mixed up, you'll just want to look to see which set of red and black has that white wire that goes into it. That's the one we want to connect to. So we'll just strip these back and get them connected. Now we'll also take our relay wire here, and we can also take the light running in from the light bar itself. We're going to trim it back. We don't need this full length, so cut off where we don't need them. We'll cut back that jacketing on that just a little bit. And we'll use a couple more of the butt connectors mentioned earlier. We're going to use a total of 6 of these for the entire installation, just to, you want to keep them handy. Now we're going to use a heat source just like we did before on the other butt connectors to get these connected. Now we can pull out a little bit of the slack from our extra wire we added. Let's get that relay mounted up into position. Now I'm going to be mounting the relay right in that on that main wire loom. It's going to be right around where we brought that 12-volt power wire in. I like to get the wires kind of secured first and just create a bundle with everything. And we still have our switch that we want to get ran. There's a nice quick disconnect here. We're going to separate that. I'm going to be mounting this right below the headlight switch, just so our lights are kind of all staying in the same area. Take that connector, and if I pass it right underneath the steering wheel there, I can actually reach up from underneath the dash and grab a hold of it. We're going to pull that down through. Just going to slide that connector back together. And then take a little bit of alcohol and clean off our dashboard where we're going to mount that. Right in there should be fine. We pull our slack out, we won't have to worry about any interference or anything. Just have just a little bit of wire exposed, not a big deal. Get that cleaned off, we'll just pull the backing off of it and position it right where we want it. Now the extra wiring that we have here from the switch, we're just going to bundle that up and we'll secure it in the same location. Now we'll start getting our wires tucked up and out of the way. I'm going to run it right over to the battery with this wire loom. It's this big black one that runs across there. Just going to use plenty of zip ties to get it anchored out properly. All right, now once we have it over here, we'll bring our 2 leads back out. Now for these particular battery studs, these are going to need to be smaller. So we're going to replace those with some of them we have in stock here. So we're going to strip back the end of those and just pull those ring terminals off of. Get ours crimped on there. On the other end, we're going to strip back and add another butt connector. We're not going to need too much more of our black wire once we get it over here, the negative terminals over there closer to the engine. So cut off what we don't need there. Strip that back and we'll add it to the other side of that butt connector. And we'll do the same thing for the red wire. However, you'll want to pull out that 30 amp fuse that's in the fuse holder. We'll put that in once we have everything connected. Shrink these down as well. Now we'll take the nut off of the stud here on our battery terminal. We'll slide our black wire on the negative side here and get it re-secured. Then we'll connect the red wire here to the positive side. Now we'll take that fuse, we'll slide that back in the fuse holder. And must have done something right because our light's already come on. Let's tuck that down and out of the way, but we'll still want it to be fairly easy to get to in case we ever need to do any fuse changing. Now you see, once we've made our wiring connection, we're going to have a red light there indicating that our light's off and a green light indicating that it's on. And that'll complete our look at the MaxxTow Off Road LED light bar, part number MT80636, on our 1999 Jeep Wrangler.
Click the link below to shop, learn more, or visit us at etrailer.com.